Missile successfully destroyed an intercontinental ballistic missile.
It's a big deal, and it's just in time.
At least 80 people are dead and more than 350 hurt after a car bomb explosion at the height of rush hour in Afghanistan.
This is absolute raw intimidation of all of our human values and feelings. They're trying to undermine the very way of life.
Kathy Griffin, she's done something outrageous, holding up a dismembered head of Donald Trump.
What if the roles were reversed? What if that were a Republican holding up a head of President Obama?
It's disgusting, and it is so much worse than anything that the left is claiming Donald Trump does.
I went way too far, and I beg for your forgiveness.
The White House defending Jared Kushner over alleged back-channeling with Russia.
If there had actually been a collusion conspiracy, there would already be back channels to Russia.
President Trump's late-night tweet has the internet freaking out. But Kofifi, now the #1 topic that's trending on Twitter, earning its own hashtag.
It's a rainy day out there, but look at the American flag. We can all be grateful, especially on this week, for our freedoms, and that is Avenue of the Americas.
And Pete's singing one of his favorite songs from one of his favorite movies, from Devil Wears Prada.
That's why. That's why. I watch it every Saturday night.
Who knew that information?
That's true.
That's right. He knew what movie
you know what?
it's from.
Thank you, Gavin, my producer, for telling me that in my ear. I appreciate that. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Fox and Friends on this wet Wednesday here in Manhattan. We've got a boat show out on the plaza. I'm excited about that. I keep trying to convince my wife year after year after year that I want to get a boat, maybe a pontoon boat.
A yacht. I think you should buy a yacht for your wife.
She keeps telling me no, so I'm going to see if we can do it today on the show. I'm going to see if
get
we
a
can
good
pull it
deal.
off. Yeah,
get a good deal. And you might get a good deal as well.
Until you get one, there's always Geraldo.
That's right.
Geraldo
Just
has
goes
his boat.
Borrow one of his.
Right.
Friends of Geraldo.
Meanwhile, let's talk some politics this morning.
All right, so let's give you some background about Carter Page. You know him. He was an advisor to President Trump. He was monitored by the FBI to see if there was any collusion between Trump and President Trump and Russia. Well, he says the FBI and the CIA are not telling the truth about his role, so he has requested that he can testify in front of the House Intelligence Committee.
Yeah, they've wanted him to testify in front of the House Intelligence Committee. It's one of the many, Russian investigations going on Capitol Hill and in Washington, D.C. He was going to testify in front of that committee.
Right.
But
Full transparency.
But over the Memorial Day weekend, suddenly that changed, and he's not testifying. So Carter Page wrote a letter to the committee, and we're going to play a small quote from the letter that he wrote. He wrote to them after he's learning that he's no longer testifying. He said, "I have learned from your committee staff on this Memorial Day holiday that I might not be immediately afforded the opportunity to address the false or misleading testimony by James Comey, John Brennan, and others as per our previously scheduled appointment for next week. In the interest of finally providing the American people with some accurate information at long last, I hope that we can proceed with this straight dialogue soon."
So our own Catherine Herridge, in her great reporting, has said that it's Democrats who have ultimately delayed this indefinitely. So it's not just a temporary delay, like, oh, it's a holiday weekend. No, it's indefinitely delayed. This is a former Trump advisor. Democrats.
The same Democrats that have been wanting to get to the bottom of this so-called Russian collusion scandal from the beginning, right?
So he's a Trump advisor, and Democrats are saying, wait a second, we've got to pull this back. And President Trump this morning up early tweeting about this already, saying this. So now it's reported that the Democrats who have excoriated Carter Page about Russia don't want him to testify. He blows away their case against him and now wants to clear his name by showing the false or misleading testimony by James Comey, John Brennan. And then he labels it witch hunt.
Witch hunt, which is what you said at the top of the hour, because last hour, you said if you don't hear both sides, it's not a true investigation. That is called a witch hunt.
That's exactly right. You investigate all sides when you're truly trying to get to the truth or the bottom of it. In this particular case, if you think, and the Democrats have been breathless about, we got to hear from Carter Page, we've got to hear from Carter Page. Here he is, and it's the very Democrats on the committee. So you ask yourselves why. Well, either they don't have the evidence, or what he's going to say is going to blow up their narrative.
They want to hear from the people who President Obama appointed, but they don't want to hear from Carter Page, who's affiliated with President Trump.
It's sad because, our American history, at least in the last 50, 60 years, is riddled with these types of investigations, these commissions, the Warren Commission and others that have just ignored evidence from one side just for political reasons, even though people presented evidence to the committee, was ignored, walked away, and pulled back from.
Because Carter Page says, in that letter, he says what he would say would expose the nonsensical lies and the smoke and mirror tactics tactics of the Clinton, Comey, and Obama camps. And he believes he could finally have his day in court effectively, because he's been drawn and quartered in the court of public opinion by the fake news media and others who want to point out any angle they can to make it look like President Trump colluded with Russia. He could finally get his opportunity to speak his side. And Democrats are saying, no, we don't want that. It's really, really troubling. If you
get him on the record. When you go in for these committees, you can perjure yourself by providing false or misleading testimony. So you've got to be true. You've got to stand by your testimony, and they don't want him to talk at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we showed you this in the first hour, and we're warning you, if you have kids in the room, you might want to, you know, shuffle them out just while we talk about this. Kathy Griffin, the comedian, she thought this was funny, and she made a video and posted a picture of her holding up President Trump's head. Look at that, like it had been decapitated, like ISIS does. And we're hearing from all of you. You don't think this is funny. We're not going to keep it up for too long, but we do want you to see it. We don't want to blur it out, because we want you to see it and just see how far this has gone.
It looks like an ISIS photo. It really does. And the horrible part of it is, who were the first people being beheaded in Iraq and Syria? It were journalists.
Journalists, right.
Being beheaded for just trying to recover stories, and then we go with this?
I don't understand it. I mean, so here's my problem, beyond just the graphic nature of this, is that it was planned. And so when a photographer came to Kathy Griffin and said, I want to do this photo shoot, and you have a run-up to it. She's a busy person, no doubt. It's not something she just dropped what she was doing that afternoon and did. She had it on her calendar to go and do this photo shoot. She knew what it was going to be ahead of time. She was there talking about it, thinking about it.
We got to hear her talking about it.
Right. So here's some video from TMZ that they released of behind the scenes of this, where they were looking at it saying, we knew this was going to be bad. Watch.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah. We're going to go to... We have to move to Mexico today, because we're going to go to prison, federal prison.
Yeah.
Call your dad, apologize, but let's you, me, and Daryl just go to Mexico today, because we're not surviving this, okay?
We're not going to survive this. We're going to have to move to Mexico.
Little high five.
Yeah. She said we could go to prison.
Did you see that high five? It was like,
I know.
Look at how cool we are. We're tough.
Well, and you put it out there, and then I guess she's asking for an apology later. That's what she's done. She's released an apology yesterday online. Take a listen and see if this means much to you.
Hey everybody, it's me, Kathy Griffin. I sincerely apologize. I am just now seeing the reaction of these images. I'm a comic. I crossed the line. I moved the line, then I cross it. I went way too far. The image is too disturbing. I understand how it offends people. It wasn't funny. I get it. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I will continue. I asked your forgiveness, taking down the image, going to ask the photographer to take down the image, and I begged for your forgiveness. I went too far. I made a mistake, and I was wrong.
Some of our viewers pointing out that she rolled her eyes when she was giving the apology. I guess, you look for body language, and so when she said, I understand some people are offended by this, she rolls her eyes.
I roll. I don't know. I mean, listen, you want to hope it's sincere, but seeing what happened before, it's just a reaction. It's almost like she's talking tough with the photographer, and then she gets the feedback, and now she apologizes because she wants to save her job. Listen, she works at CNN, does the New Year's Eve stuff. Imagine if this was a Republican or a conservative or someone holding the head of President, I can't even want to say it, President Obama or somebody. It would be treated so differently. We'll see what happens with her. But, man, she knew what she was doing.
CNN's saying they're not sure how they're going to handle this. They're not sure if she's going to be doing the New Year's Eve special going on. I know that she did have, she had an endorsement with that Squatty Potty company, and they have dropped her.
First of all, it's bad when a potty company is dropped.
Right. Squatty Potty. But, all right, but listen to this. Here's the thing. When you watch that, when you see that photo, you know it's shocking. She's a smart woman. She knew she was going to get this reaction.
Right.
She probably knew in advance, hey, I'm going to have to come out and apologize. So do you do it? If you know you're going to have to come out and apologize, listen, we are all always careful. We try to be careful of what we're going to say because we know we're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
And we do whatever we can not to make a mistake. But she knew this was a mistake.
This is like...
And then came out and apologized.
If you're taping a show on Fox and it's on tape, and then you've got hours to decide what you put on air, if you do something like that, it doesn't make the tape.
But here's the thing. If you watch this video, we've seen what ISIS is doing. That's what's so hard to see. To see the president of the United States of America, who is fighting this, who's fighting to prevent this, and we have had Americans that have died in this brutal, disgusting way. So when you see those images, it just reminds you of Daniel Pearl, the journalist. I mean, we have had American journalists who have died this way, and their families are suffering, and it is so brutal. So to do this, it crosses the line. It's too much.
You're so right. And the number one rule of being a comedian, be funny.
Right.
Right.
It's not
this isn't
funny.
Well, we asked for your comments this morning. Keep them coming. Friends@foxnews.com. You can email us, and your thoughts are pouring in on this morning. All right, let's get over to Jillian now, who's going to look at some other news making.
Good morning. That's right. Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. Let's get to a Fox News alert. At least 80 people are dead and more than 350 hurt after a car bomb explosion at the height of rush hour in Afghanistan. The blast happening steps from the German embassy in Kabul, killing a security guard, injuring German and Japanese embassy employees. Retired four-star General Jack Keane says the attack is meant to instill terror.
Clearly what they want to do is demonstrate to the people in the diplomatic zone that the government of Afghanistan and security forces can't protect them.
No one's claimed responsibility for the attack. The U.S. Navy bolstering its presence amid growing tensions with North Korea. The USS Ronald Reagan warship now in the Sea of Japan. It could begin training with the USS Carl Vinson as early as today. This comes as the White House sends a strong message to Kim Jong-un. If you fire a missile, we can block it. The Pentagon successfully intercepting a rocket over the Pacific. It's designed to shoot down a warhead before it hits America. The technology so precise, it's like trying to hit a bullet with another bullet. President Trump is ramping up his search for a new FBI director. The commander-in-chief meeting with two new candidates weeks after firing James Comey. Under consideration, former TSA Chief John Pistole and Chris Wray, the former Assistant Attorney General under President George W. Bush. The White House says the president will continue to interview candidates until the right leader is found. All right, now President Trump is joining in on the Covfefe fun that has the internet going wild. This is what happened just after midnight. Our commander-in-chief posting, despite the constant negative press, Covfefe. Now, some think he meant coverage. Covfefe now going viral, even earning its own hashtag. And everyone is asking, what does it mean? So this morning, President Trump is keeping us guessing. Moments ago, he tweeted, who can figure out the true meaning of Covfefe? Enjoy. He did delete the original tweet. So in the world of social media, you can't delete the tweet and then go back and joke about it, but he's the president. He can do whatever he wants.
That's right. He should just left it up there and had some fun with it. That's a way to handle it, though.
That's well
But
played,
he was tweeting after midnight. My thought is he was probably tweeting and then maybe fell asleep halfway through the sentence.
Right. Because he doesn't drink. It's not like us when we tweet in the middle of the night after a few glasses of wine.
And he doesn't get much sleep, so maybe he was just a little tired and it was halfway through a tweet.
Well, let us know. What do you think Covfefe means? We're still trying to figure it out.
Self-deprecation. Always good.
All right, coming up here on the show, the president called on world leaders to take ownership of their own security and pay their fair share, but now some appear to be turning their backs on the commander-in-chief. Our next guest says they're making a big mistake.
And could this soon become a campaign slogan? The Democrats eyeing a possible new secret weapon to battle Republicans in 2018.
You had to be a big shot, didn't you? All your friends were so knocked out. You had to have the last word last night. You know what everything's about. You had to have
Welcome back. The mainstream media hammering President Trump following his first trip as commander-in-chief.
The president is back in Washington after his lengthy trip abroad. And even though his team feels confident the trip was successful, he returns to plenty of controversy.
The president is riding high from that big foreign trip, but as he arrives back here at home, he's going to face a bit of a reality check.
The entire world's watching, and of course, most importantly, Vladimir Putin's watching.
The fact that our president does not respect those allies actually shows more warmth to Putin and his cronies, more warmth to the Saudis, where, of course, the 9/11 terrorists came from. That's really disturbing.
Well, it's not just the mainstream media that's acting out. Some world leaders appear to be turning their backs on the president. Here to weigh in is the former foreign policy advisor to Arizona Congressman Trent Franks and fellow at the Hudson Institute, Rebecca Heinrichs. Nice to see you this morning, Rebecca.
Morning.
So Angela Merkel, one of these leaders that seemed to turn her back on the president even before he landed back on U.S. soil, she had this to say about Germany becoming more self-reliant. Listen.
Our transatlantic relationship is one of the utmost importance, and the statement I made, or what I said recently, is due to the fact that, in the face of the present circumstances, we have additional reasons for us to realize that we have to take our fate in our own hands in Europe.
The president tweeted about this. He said that's very bad, and this is going to change. They owe us a lot of money. They have a big deficit with us. What do you make of this move by Angela Merkel?
Well, part of it is just a political calculation. You know, Donald Trump is very, very unpopular in Germany. Environmentalism has sort of become the state religion there, and he doesn't subscribe to that religion, and he wasn't going to, you know, commit the United States to maintaining the Paris Accord there. So, you know, part of it is a political calculation, and part of it, you know, Donald Trump is representing, he's a president of the United States. He's not the president of the world. He's not the president of Europe. He's not trying to win a popularity contest in Europe. So he's going to say and do things that the Europeans don't like. But he's right. You know, NATO has become anemic. It's sort of become poisoned by this liberal pacifism, and they're going to have to contribute more to collective security if they want, you know, the help of the United States.
Well, our inbox is blowing up this morning around here, and the president just tweeted moments ago about that Kathy Griffin photo that I'm sure you saw this morning on the show. We're not going to show it right now, but the president just tweeting moments ago, we wanted to get your take on this, and he's outraged about it. He says, Kathy Griffin should be ashamed of herself. My children, especially my 11-year-old son Barron, are having a hard time with this. Sick. Of course, Kathy Griffin holding the dismembered head of President Trump in this photo shoot. She apologized. What is your take on this?
You know, it's terrible. I mean, we've gotten to a point in our civil discourse here in the United States where people are saying and doing things that are just, they're appalling, and you don't treat one another this way, and there are consequences to the things that we do, the things that we post online, the things that we say, and you can't take them back once you do it. So it's truly appalling. I'm glad she apologized. I hope she's sincere, and we need to all, I think, take a minute and reevaluate how we're treating one another and how we're talking, especially about the president. You know, the left has become so sort of hysterical about the president that they're doing stuff like this, and it's a shame.
Rebecca Heinrichs, we appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks so much. All right, coming up on the show, Democrats looking for some real military might to take back control of Congress in 2018. Their plan to recruit some veterans. Missouri Governor Navy SEAL Eric Greitens grew up a Democrat, says this doesn't work.
Now for your news by the numbers. First, 3, the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety revealing the deadliest cars in America. The most dangerous, the Hyundai Accent with 104 deaths per million registered vehicles, the Kia Rio, and help me out on that, the Scion TC. So that takes second place the Kia, third place the Scion. If you have one of those cars, beware. Next, number 1, NASA announcing its first mission to touch the sun today. Next summer, they're going to send a spacecraft directly into the sun's atmosphere to learn more about the solar system. I don't know. Keeps asking how they do that. That's why they're scientists and we're not. And finally, 6. That's the age of the youngest competitor at this year's Scripps National Spelling Bee. Edith Fuller is facing an elimination round today. The finals are tomorrow night in Washington, D.C. She is 6 years old, Pete.
Unreal. I don't think my 6-year-old can spell Democrat.
She's going to be a scientist.
Yes, you will. All right, Democrats have a new plan on the table to help take back the House and Senate in 2018. Recruit veterans to run on the Democratic ticket. But will that work? And can they even find veterans willing to stand behind the liberal ideals of the party currently stands on? Here with his take is Missouri Governor and former Navy SEAL Governor Eric Greitens, who says he actually grew up as a Democrat and is now, of course, the Republican governor of Missouri. He joins us now. Governor, thanks for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Great to be on with you, Pete.
You got it. Well, the veterans, we've got a graphic of how veterans voted in 2016. 61% of them went for President Trump. 34% went for Clinton. You know, you and I both know that veterans those who serve are usually a little bit more conservative. How successful do you think Democrats will be in recruiting veterans to run on their ticket this time around?
Well, look, I respect every veteran. I respect their service. We honor it. And I think that we do need to have more people in office who aren't career politicians. But the problem with liberals is not who they've got spouting their message. It's their ideas. It's their message. Liberals are just out of touch with the American people. You know, when we travel around Missouri, we hear very clear messages. People support law enforcement. They don't want welfare. They want to bring back American jobs. They want to see a thriving economy rooted in the core values of hard work work and personal responsibility. And that's what we see in Missouri.
Well, Governor, I mean, your own sort of conversion is telling here as someone who was a Democrat and decided to leave. But it wasn't just, I mean, part of it was an attraction to what conservatism stood for, but also what you saw happening in the Democrat Party. Do you believe that veterans are turned off from the direction that party has gone?
Yeah, look, I was born and raised a Democrat, but the experience of serving my country overseas as a Navy SEAL, the experience of running my own business, and then also the experience of watching the VA bureaucracy destroy the lives of my friends, all of those things made me a conservative, not by birth, but by conviction. And yeah, I think that you see that it's not just veterans, but the American people are attracted to strong, common sense, conservative values.
Absolutely. And of course, the VA, a perfect example of how the left says, just spend another $1 billion more and everything will be fixed. And it never is. I've got to ask you about a bill that you recently signed in Missouri called the Steel Mill Bill. You say it'll get Missourians back to work again. Tell us about the bill.
Yeah, so what we did was we had the ability to bring a steel mill with hundreds of quality jobs to Missouri. But politicians failed to do their job. So what I did was I canceled their vacations. I called a special session. I brought them back to work, and they passed a bill so that now we can bring a steel mill with hundreds of quality jobs to Missouri. And the message that we heard from people around the state of Missouri was really clear. They said, we don't want welfare. They said, we want to work, so help us to bring back American jobs, and that's exactly what we did.
Governor, just quick question. In Washington, D.C., they take a long summer, a big vacation on Capitol Hill. The president has an ambitious agenda to bring jobs back. Do you think we should cancel summer vacation in Washington, D.C. as well?
Absolutely. Look, we did this here in Missouri, and people said, that's right, cancel their vacations, bring them back to work so that they do their job. You know, my job is to fight for the jobs of the people of Missouri, and we need to cancel the politicians' vacation and bring them back to get their job done.
They get enough vacation anyway. All right. Governor, thank you very much for joining us this morning, and, of course, for your service. We appreciate it.
Thanks, ma'am. Good to be here.
You got it. Well, it's the narrative Democrats cannot live without.
What do the Russians have on President Trump politically, financially, and personally?
But is that what American families really care about? How about jobs, taxes, health care, defeating ISIS? Our panel of moms weigh in next. And Democrats may have a secret weapon to battle Republicans. It's really secret. 2018.
It's the storyline Democrats are obsessed with. Watch.
What do the Russians have on President Trump politically, financially, and personally?
There's no reason whatsoever for the congressional investigation to slow down or stop.
I become incredulous thinking about the ongoing FBI investigation into Russia's interference with our president.